What's up, you guys? My name is Dylan with Strange Tech, and today we're going to be reviewing the GT Omega Racing Cockpit. Now, this particular product is going to be the GT Omega Racing Cockpit ARK with the rS9 seat. There is the Racing Pro version, which has the rS6 version. This seat's just a little bit more bulky. It's just a little bit nicer. This is the more premium model per se. This one comes in at $429 in the US. There are European prices, which you'll see on the screen right here as I'm kind of scrolling through the website showing you. There's a bunch of different packages, as you can see. There's some that have like computer or monitor attachments, keyboard attachments, and so on. This particular one that I have is just the base model. It just has the chair, the brake area, the thing that holds the steering wheel and all that. It doesn't have the keyboard stands, the speaker stands, monitor stands, or none of that. I have mine sitting on a little stand back there, as you can see. Like I said, this specific one is going to be $429.99 in the US. You can get the one for $399 in the US, which uses the rS6 seat. You can also use coupon codes online. I believe they're between 5 and 10% off. I personally don't have one, but if you like a YouTuber that is sponsored by GT Omega, I believe they get part of the cut. I'll link one up in the top right hand corner here. You can click and use if you want to do so. But I think that takes, like I said, 5 to 10% off, which isn't terrible. Either way, this racing cockpit for the price is an amazing deal. I'm going to break the video here into a few different sections, kind of all the features. We're going to go into one, we're going to go through everything that it has, and then we're going to go into my thoughts, the pros and cons in the video. First thing about this racing cockpit is going to be the assembly. The assembly is a breeze. It's really not even worth showing on video, honestly. You basically screw in like 2 or 3 bolts, you slide everything, and it's very interchangeable, which leads me to my next point, is going to be adjustability. Adjustability of this thing is amazing. As you can see here, it's made for a variety of different sizes, lengths, options, heights, preference, whatever you really enjoy. There's a bunch of these levers that you see here. They're basically like water spigot nozzles that you turn. You turn these guys and you can lift up where the racing wheel sits for you. You can adjust how the bottom basin length is. So if you're very tall or very short. They also include these interchangeable rods as well that allow you to utilize these if you're a shorter person, or utilize the longer ones if you're a longer person. So it really just depends. As you can see, I have mine set up here for me, and I'm 6 foot, about 200 pounds. I'm nothing very tall, not very short. I'd like to think I'm pretty average. And it fits me perfectly, and I can adjust it to where I want. Like I can get the steering wheel closer or further away, just depending on how I feel like being. If I feel like being a cool kid, laid back, one hand on the wheel, or I feel like death gripping and getting it all up close and personal, it allows for both play styles to be accommodated. There are also, outside of the knobs, there's also slides on the seat that allow the seat to slide back and forth like you would see in most vehicles. As for the base plate, for the pedals, those are adjustable up and down as well, so you can kind of place those at a more dramatic or less dramatic angle, depending on which, I guess, racing wheel and pedals you have set up. The ones I have here is the TGT from Thrustmasters. It's the PlayStation PC one, and I have it currently running Gran Turismo Sport in the background. I also run it through the PC as well. Also, the part that holds on the wheel itself, that is adjustable to allow for different tilts. Now, I do believe that I have mine on backwards to accommodate for the PlayStation's, the TGT's wheel. I think that it's flippable depending on which one that you have, but it does mount perfectly fine. I noticed with the PlayStation one, it only mounts in 2 spots with the TGT, but I utilize the other little mounting piece just to kind of hold it on for some extra support to make me feel a little bit better about it. The seat also does have a reclining option for whatever reason. If you want it to lay far back, you can do that if you would like. It's a cool little nice to have, but in terms of the quality of the seat itself is very, very nice. My normal PC chair is a DX Racer, and I'd actually like to say that this thing's a little bit more firm. And it could be because I've used my DX Racer for a while, so it is more broken in. I've never used a GT Omega racing chair, but all in all, I really do like the seat. It feels good. Like I said, I'm about 6 foot, 200 pounds, so it fits me pretty well. I was actually afraid that the rS6 seat was going to be a little bit small and kind of gripping on me. That's not really what I wanted, even though for GT cars, you probably should maybe have that smaller bucket style seat, but either way, it's not really what I wanted. The last thing I want to really highlight in the features is just the build quality. It is a metal build, and it feels really good. It feels really sturdy, and just every part about it just kind of feels like meant to be there, like solid, like it's not going to wobble loose or be rickety or whatever, I am still nervous, like probably most people with racing cockpits, of whenever you get out of pulling down on the wheel and it just snapping in half. So I do try to avoid that, but I think it would hold it just fine. So shifting over to my pros, basically everything I just listed as a feature is amazing, especially when you consider the price point at 400 bucks. Like this whole setup I have here is just under $1,000 in the US. It might be a little different if you're overseas, but for $1,000 I have a really ballin' setup. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, the Thrustmaster's wheel coupled with this is just awesome, and I think it's probably one of the best bangs for your buck you can get now that the TGT wheel price has lowered a good chunk. I think if you can pick this up for 400 bucks and pick that up for 600 bucks, that's a really good deal. I think that's a really great entry level. The only thing you're missing from the TGT is load cell braking, but either way, it takes nothing away from the Cockpit. The Cockpit is amazing, especially for the price. There's only a few gripes that I do have about it, but like I said before, like at the price point, it's super hard to argue this. I definitely think this is the one that everyone should probably start out on, unless you're just trying to blow a ton of money and you really think you're gonna love this. Now lastly, my con section, like I said, these are super trivial. Coming in at the $400 price point, it's very hard to complain about what I'm about to complain about. But as you can see here, and even in the back of the video, one thing that I think they do very poorly is cable management. Now granted, it's very hard to accommodate for that. Like I said, this is a $400 setup. It's crazy that it's this good of quality at this price. But I do think that's something they can improve upon. And it could be something as simple as just having like little TIG welded on little loops to hold your cables running down it. Because as you can see here, just the cables running from the actual steering wheel unit down, there's no real good place to put them. I mean, I put them in this little post just to kind of get them out of the way so I wouldn't step on them accidentally. I could zip tie them, and sure, I could use like a little pinchy piece or something to hold the cables more efficiently. And I probably will do that just to clean up the setup because I am OCD about that. But that's really one of the biggest improvements I could have seen from them, and that's my biggest complaint about the whole thing. I do think that the design does limit this thing in terms of lifting where you want the wheel to be. Sometimes you may want it like at a certain point on your lap but lower, or a certain point on your lap but higher, and it doesn't really accommodate for that. But like I said, for what you're getting at the price point, you really can't argue with it. And then the last thing, which also is super trivial, I do think the packaging and unboxing experience was a little bit lackluster. And granted, I'm used to very premium products, like everything from iPhones to even the TGT wheel in itself. These are very nice, pretty, clean, unique, branded boxes, polished, everything looks good about it. Whereas this was just pretty much the parts saran wrapped, bubble wrapped, and put in a cardboard box that said GT Omega. No negative to that really. I mean, like I said, it's 400 bucks. You can't really ask for everything, but those are my only complaints. And the fact that those are my only complaints on something like this is pretty crazy, because I'm a pretty picky person and I usually always find issues with things. But that's really the only negatives that I can think of for this guy. So in bringing all this back together, I do think this is an unbelievably good cockpit. I think that it is just something for the price point, like I said many times before, you just simply can't beat. I mean, when it looks good, it feels good, it rides good, everything about it's great. Adjustability is there, stability is there, durability seems to be there. Everything, like I said, you can get for 400 bucks. You can't really beat this, and if you use a coupon code or whatever, you can probably get this thing for maybe another 20 bucks off and get it down to like $380 or something. And as long as they're doing free shipping to your location, well worth the purchase. All in all, I highly recommend this seat, and I hope to see more from this line. One of the other complaints that I didn't really mention, but it's sort of trivial, is the red stitching on this. Most of my setup isn't red. I would much rather have a black and gray option, or even a colorful option. Hopefully they'll add the colorways from their regular seats into the cockpit, I guess, area really. But other than that, I definitely recommend this to everyone, as long as you're okay with a little bit of red in your life. All in all, great setup, great job by GT Omega for their whole seat setup. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. I'll definitely be around answering those. If you have need any help setting everything up or anything like that, just feel free to let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have anything else, let me know. I'll see you in the next one.